I'm Laura Vitale, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I want to share with you my take on a Greek-style stuffed grape leaf. Now, I know that there are versions of this pretty much all over the world. I know the Lebanese do it one way, Armenia and Turkish, and there are phenomenal flavor combinations. But today, I'm going to show you what I know as the Greek-style version, which is with rice, lots of herbs, and lemon, and it's usually served cold on salads or like as an appetizer. And so I wanted to share with you because it's one of my favorite things in the world. There's a Greek restaurant that's owned by a Greek family near where we used to live, and we still go there often because it's one of my favorite places ever. And one of my favorite things are these, and they're so delicious. I had to recreate them because I can't just go once in a blue moon, getting these. I have to have them as often as I like, and they're really actually quite simple, and I'm excited to share it with you. We spoke about it on Instagram about how there's so many different variations of these depending on where you go in the world. And I loved hearing all of you give me the way you make them in your family. And that's the great thing about food. It's just so, no matter where you go, even family to family, everyone has their own way of making something. And that's what I think makes it really special. What I'm doing right now is I'm chopping up an onion, small onion, because I'm going to go ahead and cook it with the rice just to give it really beautiful flavor. I'm going to add it to a small saucepan with some olive oil. Turning my olive oil on. I've taken some rice and I have rinsed it really, really well. You want to make sure that your rice, you want to wash as much starch off of it as you possibly can. So I went ahead, did that already. It's sitting over here just sitting in a sieve, making sure all of the water kind of drains off. I'm going to go ahead and add the last of my onion, to my skillet. I also have a combination over here of water and lemon juice, and I'm going to add that in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to just saute my onions until they're really soft and translucent. I'm not looking for color. I'm just looking for them to cook down and become really soft and, like I said, translucent. That looks great. I'm going to go ahead and add my rice that I, like I said, rinsed really, really well. And with the rice, I'm going to go ahead and add some water and the lemon juice. I just squeezed it right in. And a good pinch of salt. You don't want to under-season this because this is the only time you really have to season your dish. So now what you're going to do is you're going to cook this on medium heat until it comes to a boil and all of the water sort of evaporates, right? Take about 5-6 minutes or so. In the meantime, I'm going to talk to you really quickly about the grape leaves that I'm using. Now, I'm using grape leaves that I can get at my regular grocery store. I'm not going into my vineyard. I don't have a vineyard. You could if you wanted to, but I don't have a vineyard. I just use these from my local grocery store, and they've always worked really, really well for me. This is the brand. I find this at the regular aisle where all of the pickles and olives are. So if I can find it in the middle of nowhere, South Jersey, I'm sure many of you can find them too. But I've also ordered grape leaves online, just so you know, and they weren't very expensive. I'm going to rinse them really, really well. And I also want to tell you that I really tailored this recipe, the amount that I'm using. I really tailored it to the amount of grape leaves that I get out of this jar because I don't want to make too much rice and have it left over. And this, you'll get about, it's hard to say, but you'll get maybe like 50-ish leaves. Grape leaves in here, so the amount of rice I'm cooking should work really well. All I'm going to do now, and I'll show you what it looks like since I have a sieve here, I'm going to take these out. They're kind of like in little bundles. Just be careful. They're like in 3 little bundles like that. I'm going to take these out. I'm going to rinse them really well. I'm going to open them up, and I'm showing you this because it is important that you wash them because they have a little bit of grit on them. Not like sandy grit, but they need a good rinse. And you open them up like so, and they're really beautiful, see? And I just sort of pull them apart a little bit and give them a nice little rinse. I'm gonna go do that while this does its thing, and then I'm gonna be back here, we'll add the herbs, and then we start working. That looks great. Turn it off. Now, obviously the rice isn't fully cooked yet. It's partially cooked. What I have here is a bunch of parsley and dill that I gave a really fine chop to. Mix them all together, and I'm going to go ahead and add it to my rice. I like to add it when the rice is warm so that it really wakes up the flavors and makes them bloom and just be gorgeous. And now all I'm going to do is give this a stir. and then just let this rice mixture just kind of cool down a bit so that it's not so hot when I go to handle it. And that's pretty much it. All right, rice has cooled a bit. I've got my grape leaves that I've rinsed. What I've done here in a pot, I've added a layer of grape leaves. You want to make sure that you do that so that when you go to roll them up, they're not sitting on the actual, on the actual base, so that nothing scorches. This is very simple. Now, every grape leaf I feel like is different, okay? Some of them, the stem is quite hard, so you might just want to cut it off so it doesn't snap. You see that little bit right there, and I can always tell by just flipping it up. And if I feel like I'm getting some resistance right over here, the stem is just a little, the core is just a little bit too thick, so I go ahead and I remove that. It's also going to vary on the amount that you fill your grape leaf depending on the size of your grape leaf. Like this one's a really big one, right? I'm trying to just show you this so that it makes sense to you, because I don't want you to make a mistake and then be mad at me. So you can clearly see this one is way smaller than this one. This is pretty gorgeous size grape leaf, right? Still a pretty thick base. It's actually not as thick as the other one, so I'm just going to take off a little bit. I have a teaspoon measure. The most I ever fill is a teaspoon. And I know that's going to sound crazy, but that's because as you're cooking the grape leaves, the rice will finish cooking and it will expand, right? So about a teaspoon like so, maybe like a hair more if it's a really large grape leaf, but these are small. And then I put it at the base, sort of close to the very end. I flip it like that, and then I don't know if I'm doing this right or not, but this is how I do it. Flip them like so, like you would do a burrito, I guess. And then you just roll it like that, okay? And you put it seam side down in your base. Now this grape leaf is smaller. It's way smaller, as you can tell. So I'm going to use a little less than a teaspoon. You don't want to overfill, because when you go ahead and overfill, you end up with a giant mess. Another tip I want to give you that's really crucial here is before you even start rolling your grape leaves, you want to make sure that you're using a pot in which you can fit a plate over top of, because you need to weigh these down as they cook, because what you don't want is for the grape leaves to sort of boil all over the place, because if that happens, they'll unroll and the rice will go everywhere. Ask me how I know. Ask me how I know. So what I'm going to do is literally do this whole process over again. Make sure that your grape leaf is shiny side down, so you want sort of the veins to be facing you. You can see this is a really big one. You can see the core is really, really thick. So I am definitely going to go ahead and remove that. And then I kind of just piece them together like so. And I'm just going to go ahead and keep rolling. It is a labor of love process, but it's so worth it. So worth it. All right, they're all wrapped up and ready to go. You can definitely double layer if you have to. I had to do that with a few, which is totally fine. And now what you're gonna do is you're gonna put a good amount of olive oil over them, like a good, I would say like half a cup or so. And then you're gonna add some water and lemon juice. Add that right in. You wanna make sure you have enough to cover them. And then you're gonna take a plate. I'm going to invert it right on the top like that, just to make sure they stay weighted down. And I'm also going to add a pot on top of it just to literally make sure that nothing moves. And I'm going to go ahead and bring this to a boil and let them simmer for a good 40 minutes or so. And then we'll let them cool, and I'll show you what they look like when they're done, because I already got a batch going. Well, ready, I should say. Look at that. It took about 45 minutes. Everything will absorb. When you turn the heat off, you will see some of the water sort of collecting on top of your plate and around the plate. And then when you turn it off and you let them sit for like 15-20 minutes, it will all be absorbed and you're left with these deliciously shiny, amazing, oh, it just smells so good. Now, what you'll do is you'll want to put these in a container, throw them in the fridge. You eat them cold, at least I do, over salads. Like I said, like a Greek salad is so good, or as an appetizer, whatever your heart desires. We love them, and I have a batch made because I want to try them cold. And I mean, I had to do it for you. Not like I needed another batch, but these are what they look like when they are done, and they are just gorgeous. I love them. I'm gonna take a couple, cut them in half. They are small, but they are mighty delicious. And the lemon's not overpowering. Everything together is perfection. Oh, not easy. They're not easy. Not difficult. Tiny bit time consuming with the rolling, but they're easy. You can do these. Keep them on hand. You will love them. Go to laurainthekitchen.com for the written recipe. I hope you enjoy spending time with me, and I will see you next time. Bye. All right, guys, this is the last episode in the studio kitchen, and our contractor isn't here. She's already getting ready to tear things apart. She's right behind me. She's in the cabinet. She's trying to take things apart. We are wrapping up our last episode, and as soon as we wrap this up, we are literally going to take everything out and everything down and move on to a next phase of life. It is very bittersweet. I've already cried way too many times thinking about this moment. It's weird because I'm filled with... All fixed. Move on to the next one. Close the doors. I'm filled with like lots of amazing memories, lots of good moments. We started a family in this kitchen, pretty much, you know. It has served us really well for over 10 years. We've built the career of my dreams in this kitchen. It's just been an amazing journey, and I have you to thank for. And I know it's very cliche. You'll hear a lot of creators and say, you know, I do this because of your love and support, but we will go up in just a second. Okay. Hopefully there's no more interruptions, but I wanted to just say thank you. Thank you for being with me. In many, many ways, a lot of you have grown up with me. When I started this, I was 23 years old, and now I'm a whopping 34, and I feel really good. I feel really excited about where things are going. As I was saying earlier, it's a very bittersweet feeling. I'm obviously sad to tear this kitchen down because it comes with so many memories, but I'm so excited for a new journey. I want to share a lot more of Mia and just, you know, more of my life with you in ways. Hopefully we can do that this year, just so that you can get to know me a little bit more and we can kind of go on a new journey together. I hope that you have had a lot of fun in this kitchen over the last 10 years, but we haven't even touched the surface of what we're about to do together in the next 10. So I wanted to say thank you for being with me, for your love, your support, your encouragement, your kindness. It never goes unseen. I can promise you that. And I appreciate every single one of you for allowing me to live the dream I've always wanted to live by doing this job and doing it with you. It's certainly been a blast. So thank you, and here's to the next 10.